All right, Angela. Welcome back to I Never Knew TV.
It's a pleasure to be here. Good to see you again.
Serious thing. I see that the media and people in positions of power are promoting promiscuous behavior while also promoting abortions. I'm not sure if you saw this thing, kind of this propaganda going on simultaneously.
It's kind of like drugs and guns, huh? They go hand in hand. Can't really have one without the other, right? So if we aren't being promiscuous, if we aren't being irresponsible, if we aren't out here making babies that we don't want, then the abortion industry goes out of business.
Yeah, I don't think people understand like how profitable the abortion industry is because you would know more than anyone else, right? But it seems like a lot of the funding goes towards women who don't want to be mothers versus providing resources to women who want to be mothers.
Isn't that amazing in this day and age where everyone is screaming about equality? That the mother, when she doesn't want the baby, she can go abort the baby, terminate the pregnancy, and get a pat on the back. But if the man doesn't want the baby, he's labeled a deadbeat and called all type of names, but they yet and still they always scream about equality.
And I also wanted to touch on this thing here I saw. There are a couple instances, right? I heard about an issue in New York where it's a guy, Dennis Hannon, I believe that's his name. His ex-wife forced the young son to transition from a boy to a girl during their divorce, right? And despite his protests that his son never wanted to be a girl, he had no say so in the situation. And there's another situation in Texas. A guy named Jeff Younger was kind of going through the same situation.
Well, I don't know why people are so surprised because not only do you not have a say as a man in your child's sexuality or protecting your son from being chemically castrated, you also don't have a say on whether or not your child lives or dies because there are instances in abortion where the mother may not want the child but the father does. And guess what? In those instances as well, the father does not have a voice. However, the father is the carrier and the creator of life. See, women don't get pregnant on their own. Every woman has to get pregnant by a man in order to bring forth life. So if they have taken away the voice of a man to have a say in whether or not his seed lives, then what makes you think that that man will be able to have a say when it comes to chemically castrating that son after he probably survived abortion?
And for those unaware, can you explain what chemically castrating is?
Puberty blockers, you know. And I mean, I just, to each its own. It's something that I don't agree with when it comes to children because I've been a child and I know that as children, we change our minds every 5 minutes. There's no such thing as permanent decisions when it comes to children. That's why we don't allow them to get tattoos. We don't allow them to drink. We don't allow them to do so many things until they come to an age of maturity. But if you do have a young son and he does have a bunch of sisters or girl cousins and you believe that he's feminine because he likes girly things, it could very well just be a phase. And so imagine thinking, oh, he's really supposed to be a girl and giving him puberty blockers. And then when he hits 15 or 16, he knows that he's a man and wants to start a family. And then now he got a little shrimp because his penis didn't grow. So, I mean, are we helping our children? Are we damaging them? I mean, even our little girls, when it comes to this whole, gender ideology movement. And let's also mention that this is a Democrat platform, okay? This is what the Democrat Party represents. I've never in my life seen so many people willing to vote for their own destruction, their own genocide, and the sexuality and abortion of their own children. But even when it comes to little girls, that have to grow up and be women and carry life one day, we just saw not too long ago all over the news that there was a shortage of baby milk, right? I don't know if you guys remember, there was a shortage of baby milk. Well, guess what? Every animal just about on this planet feeds their baby from their breast, except us as humans. That's why we have breasts, to feed our babies. So we are looking at a movement, at an agenda that is telling our young girls to remove their breasts before they even become women. Like, We're not looking at the attack on the lifeline. And that's a problem.
I want to speak about there's not enough, or it's not loud enough, men who want the child, but women go ahead and do the abortion behind their back. There's no like legal thing to go for that, or
Well, that's one of the things that I want to advocate for. I mean, I'm tired of crying about abortion. Black women feel as though it's their choice and they want to be liberated by having a choice to execute the very black life that they create. So guess what? I think I need to take a different approach. And this approach is going to be to align with men to make sure that they have a voice and make sure that they have fathers' rights. Everybody is screaming about equality. And as I've said before, if the mother doesn't want the baby, she can go kill the baby, be done with the baby, be looked at as some type of hero or some type of strong woman. But if a man doesn't want the baby, he's labeled a deadbeat, dragged back and forth to court for 18 years. He's mandated by the law in the state to take care of a child that he doesn't want, but the mother gets to abort. And then we don't even give a father the chance to say, I want to keep this child. I helped create this child, because everyone on this earth has a mother and father. All right, let's just be clear. Every life that has been created, every human life that has been created has come from a male and a female. So we're also, when we're supporting the Democrat Party, supporting agendas that do not align with what we know to be normal, and we don't have common sense. Two men cannot make a baby, two women cannot make a baby. This is not hate speech. We are talking just facts. So we're watching platforms, and supporting platforms that destroy the nuclear family. And at the end of the day, all of us are here because of a heterosexual man and a woman.
I've heard of so many instances where men have clearly stated they do not want to have children, right? Now, I understand on their end, they dropped the ball in regards to pullout game was probably a little weak, or they didn't use a condom or something, but they clearly stated they did not want to have a child. And the woman went forth and had the child, right? Now, it's a tricky situation. Like, how would you mediate something like that?
Well, that goes both ways. I mean, you got to put your big boy drawers on and your big girl panties on. If you're out here having sex, we have sex for pleasure, but sex is actually for reproduction. Okay? That's why animals have sex. Like, it's all about reproduction. It's all about the cycle of life. So we're all adults, right? We're not irresponsible, sex fiends here, okay? Nymphos that don't know that when you have, unprotected sex, that you can create a life. So I think the answer is, and how we mediate this situation is we have to make it fair. The kid is here now, right? So once the kid is here, everybody's like, oh, we don't want the kid, send it back. That's what abortion is, right? After the kid is already here, oh, we don't want the kid, send it back. Listen, pregnancy prevention is a real thing, okay? If we put as much funding into pregnancy prevention as we put into abortion, abortion would literally go out of business. There are several ways that I know that you can enjoy sex without impregnating someone.
We spoke to Nuri Muhammad. Actually, Darren was there in Indiana, and we were talking about the topic of sexual discipline, right? Mm-hmm. And how we need more sexual discipline collectively, and that would kind of reduce some of the familiar issues that we have. What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, I agree. And if men have to have more value for themselves as women do too. If this is someone that you don't want to impregnate, someone that you don't want to create a life with, why would you deposit your life sperm inside of them? Why would you put your life force inside of someone that you don't want to create a life with? So sexual discipline is very important, but it also goes back to your very first question. Like, what's the agenda? Promiscuity. You want to talk about sexual discipline in the day and age where we got, Sexy Red and Suki with the good coochie, and you know what I'm saying? That's all men. Hoes are winning. What did Kanye say? She's such a freaking hoe, but I love it. That's what he said. So, I mean, are we giving ourselves over to destruction? Even, one of the things that hurt me on my heart, I got a call, about another young black male that I know and love very dearly that's dealing with AIDS and HIV right now. And for the life of me, I cannot understand We know for a fact that AIDS, HIV is the number one killer of black men. We know that AIDS and HIV is associated with the highly homosexual, lifestyle, because back then they used to call it a gay man's disease. And with us knowing that, why are we supporting an agenda that we know leads to that, right? Why are we supporting things that are telling our sons and our daughters to give themselves over to a lifestyle with such a high rate of death for black Americans? Why are we being liberated by the thought of abortion? We mad at white people for killing us, but we the first in line to go kill a black life that we created. Like, this is never going to end because we don't value the lives that we create. So if I'm the mother and you're the father and we created the life, and we don't see value in the life, and we'll go dump the baby, abort the baby at an abortion mill, why should anybody else value life if we don't value it? How you gonna tell a white person, oh, I hate you, you a white supremacist, but you just left the abortion clinic aborting your own black baby? Abort black life? You can't abort black life and then tell them not to kill black life. How does that work? Why does Black Lives Matter until a black woman gets pregnant? Because black life begins in the womb. The minute a black woman gets pregnant, then black life don't matter no more. Okay.
And I heard you in a previous podcast, right? And I'm paraphrasing when I say this. You said we always speak about white supremacy, but we never talk about black supremacy. And the quote you made, it was in the context of majority of murders of black people being committed by black people. This ties in with the abortions, but it also ties in to violence. Why don't we speak about black supremacy in that context? Like a person feeling they have the right
because it doesn't fit the agenda. I literally just last week had to sit through the trial of the murder of my children's father. And he was murdered by someone who he considered to be a friend that looked just like us, right? But I can't label that prejudice. I can't label that racism because he looks just like us. Like, what gave this man the right to feel like his life was more superior to the life of my children's father, where he felt like he had the right to just end his life without taking into consideration the impact that losing someone of that magnitude would cause not only to his family, but to his children? Another form of black supremacy also is playing Russian roulette with your kids, okay? Oh, I'm pregnant, but this ain't the time. Oh, I want to go to school. Oh, I want to go get a career, right? So we're sacrificing our children. You're going to go abort black life. Like, we do white people a favor when we abort our children. That's why they support it.
And I don't know if I say this, it sounds insensitive, but I call it the 2-for-1 special. When a brother kills another brother.
Yes.
Because what's going to happen is this: one brother's gone, there's a higher probability that that other person to get locked up or that other person will get killed. It's like we don't quantify the impact that the loss of life, especially in a violent way, has on us as a family, spiritually and psychologically,
And then you got one in the grave, you've got one in the jail cell, and you got fatherless children left on both sides. So it definitely is, that 2-for-1 special. And anytime we see, a bunch of white people wanting to support something, you could see black people come together and raise all of these funding for Kamala Harris, and the only policy she got right now is reproductive rights, women's rights. But we were born with the right to reproduce. Like, how do you have to have permission to reproduce? What they're fighting for is permission to stop the reproduction of what they produce. They say they're fighting for women's rights, but you have to be born in order to become a woman, right? So I can't support the type of women's rights that execute the women of tomorrow. But not only that, educating myself to know that 80% of abortion clinics are strategically placed in black communities for a reason. All of this is strategic.
80%?
80% of all abortion clinics, all Planned Parenthood clinics are in black communities. We get abortion clinics, they get fertility clinics.
And they get most of the funding, right?
During COVID, they got $80 billion. You know, COVID was a time when they shut down everything. You remember they shut down the churches, they shut down the school, they shut down your businesses. They said you got to stay 6 feet apart. You know what didn't get shut down during COVID? The abortion clinics in the black communities. There were no health restrictions when you went in there. No restrictions because of COVID. They wasn't turning you away because you didn't have a COVID shot. They wasn't turning you away if you didn't sit 6 feet away from somebody or if you didn't have on a mask. We do these people a favor when we terminate black life.
The internet has been ablaze with video after video of people criticizing Kamala Harris, accusing her of not being for black people, right? And the question I have is that, like, why do so many people still believe because a person has black skin, they're for black people?
You know, I for the life of me, I can't get this. This is like, you know, Obama all over again. And I'll be honest, I think the reason is because we're emotional, right? We're not fact-based. We're more based off of emotion. We're in a day and age where people are more concerned about the racism that they're never going to be able to rid, right? Than they are about the pedophilia that's sleeping itself through our government, right? That's an issue for me. And I think that when you ask people what type of policy is Kamala Harris running on, they can't say anything. The only reason they want to vote for her is because she's black. And then what gets me is you're telling me that I'm supposed to choose this woman just because she's black. Well, you know, everybody's pro-black until it's time to marry and procreate, right? She didn't choose black when it was time for her to preserve the black family, but I'm supposed to believe that I'm supposed to choose black for her to preserve the black family in the White House. We're not doing that. If she didn't have to choose black, then we don't have to choose black either. So we need to get off of this whole thing, oh, they're just going to do something for us because they're black. Well, maybe if she would have picked a black man or had a black kid, I probably could support that. But the fact that you are on an HBCU tour telling young black women to abort their children while you're raising white children, that's the issue for me. That should be an issue for black America, because y'all remember back in the day of slavery, we couldn't keep our kids, but you'll see them white kids sucking nana titties, getting breastfed. Yeah, we're not going to abort our children and raise theirs.
Hold on. I just want to jump back. And she was on her HBCU tours.
Yeah.
She's promoting abortion.
Yeah.
Like direct, indirect. Is it?
She wasn't at Yale. She wasn't at Dartmouth. She wasn't at, Princeton. She was at the HBCUs at a tour, a reproductive rights tour, telling young black women to abort their children while she's raising her white husband's 2 white children. So why are we sacrificing our children for other children?
But what word does she use? She wasn't out there saying abortion, was she?
I mean, what is reproductive rights? What is reproductive rights? Everything they've ever told us, we know that it's backwards, right? So what is reproductive rights? Let's be real. What is it? Right. Your right to do what? Kill a baby, because it ain't your right to have one. Okay, so whether they change the word, they make it nice. Like before, it was, colored women. Now they saying women of color, right? It's the same thing. They just changed the words, right? It's supposed to be birth control, but it's really controlled birth to control the birth rate, right? It's supposed to be Planned Parenthood, but it's really Parenthood planned. Okay, God planned for you to have this baby at this time, but now you're going to let these people tell you, no, God ain't on time. I'm going to send that one back and have another one when I'm ready. Planned Parenthood is Parenthood paying. It ain't God's design.
Why do you disagree with people who say that Donald Trump is not a racist?
I just don't believe that the man is a racist. This is just my personal belief because I have a personal relationship with Donald J. Trump, okay? And it's beyond the media, it's beyond any type of, clips that somebody may have cut and tried to put something or perceive something a different way. If any of us do our research, we know that Donald Trump wasn't accused of being a racist prior to his run for office. Donald Trump was at the Michael Jackson trial with him every single day. I mean, Donald Trump ran with some of everybody, Diddy, 50 Cent. He's on the Wu-Tang Clan album. This is the same Donald Trump, that when Jennifer Hudson's family was murdered, he put her up for 6 months, in Trump Tower. This is the same Trump that sent his private jet, all the way over to get Nelson Mandela when he was released from prison. This is the same Trump that gave me a full and unconditional pardon, pardon Kwame Kilpatrick, released 3,100 people from prison, in one day, July 19th, 2019. I mean, if that's the type of racism we have to deal with, I'll take it, But one of the things I don't agree with, is his position on giving immunity, to all police officers. I don't think that we're going to agree with any candidate, on everything. And that's another reason why I'm independent now. And, I'm campaigning 100% for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. because what I've discovered is neither party gives a shit about us. Okay? And we need to become independent with our vote and collectively come together and vote for what's best for our community. And aborting our children and castrating our sons ain't what's best for our community.
Like, what did you experience where you said, you know what, you will distance yourself from this whole Democratic Republican thing?
Because I realized that the people in the party are more loyal to the party than they are the people. The Democrats and the Republicans, that red and blue, that's the real gang, okay? We talk about the Bloods and the Crips all the time. No, the real gang is the Republican and the Democrats. And while they are constantly fighting, okay, and can't come in the middle because politics is supposed to be bipartisan, right? There is supposed to be no such thing as partisan politics. But while they're fighting, gang banging, who's suffering? The American people. Because at the end of the day, funding is still going to Ukraine. Billions and billions of dollars. I think they just sent another $2 billion, right? I want to say today, Kamala Harris. Trump also supports funding Ukraine, okay? Not only that, we've got all of these wars breaking out, Israel, Gaza, all of this stuff. And at the same time, the American people are being ignored and overlooked. We are looking at a border crisis. And what did we talk about before? There ain't no abortion clinics at the border. The border is wide open for you and your children. But when it comes to the need and the issue of American citizens, we're told to abort our children. We're told we're going to jail. They just signed a new law that homeless people caught sleeping on the street are going to go to jail?
I had a question now. With the independent thing, do you believe that, do you believe that government and all at this point will do anything to help people? Because I know you said you're on the independent vibe now.
I believe that we got to help ourselves at the end of the day. It's like waiting on Jesus to come fall out of the sky, because after that shit they had on the Olympics the other day with the blue gay dude laying on the table like he the Last Supper in the tray, the mocking of Christianity. Like, first of all, we have to do what we have to do for ourselves. Thinking or believing that we can depend on the government is we've done that for the last 50 or 60 years, right? And I think that what has happened in the politics when it comes to the Republican Party and the Democrat Party is all of our Congress members and the people that are currently acting in office, they've been bought out by special interest group. Hey, we're going to give you this funding. We're going to give you this money. If you go look up every Democrat in office, you will see that they are supported and funded by Planned Parenthood. If you go look up every Republican in office, you'll see that they are all supported and funded by the NRA. Democrats work for Planned Parenthood. Republicans work for the NRA. They work for the people that fund them the most. So that's why we hear a bunch of the whole forefront right now of Democrat policy is what? LGBTQ, abortion, and police killings. But y'all ain't doing nothing about none of it. Abortion, Roe v. Wade was overturned while Joe Biden was in office. It was on his watch. Sonia Massey was murdered. Joe Biden's wife. Jalen Walker, they shot that boy 82 times in Ohio. He was running away. Joe Biden's watch. We don't see Black Lives Matter. We don't see nobody show up. If I go open up a damn dog abortion clinic right now and put it next to Planned Parenthood in the black community, I guarantee you we wouldn't last 24 hours before we shut down. They care more about the life of a dog or an immigrant than they do an American citizen.
As in our society, we value animals more than humans.
Yes.
Because I remember a guy, his name is Tony. He's a homeless advocate in Baltimore. And he said to me once, I'll never forget this, man. He said, if you're laying down on the street as a human being, they'll walk past you. But if it's a dog or a cat, they'll take it in their house and nurture it back to health.
Yeah.
And that's a sick aspect of our society that we don't want to acknowledge. Like, we don't have any regard for human life. And I think that's the essence of the whole homeless vibe, because we have a homeless crisis, and you don't end the crisis by locking up people who are homeless.
Putting them in prison, but giving out $9,000 debit cards to people illegally crossing the border. Putting American citizens in prison, but creating housing and giving housing to people coming across the border. You know, we were talking earlier about fathers and fathers' rights. Like, America, the government is a deadbeat daddy. Can we take them to court? You know what I'm saying? You got all of these children out here. You leaving your children on the side of the street, homeless, begging for food, hungry, but you over there with your mistress and her kids. Them ain't even your kids. Them another man's kids. And you taking care of them, and you've overlooked. All right.
Did you just come up with that line off the bat?
I just came up with it, and it just makes a whole lot of sense, because that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. And it's unfortunate that our people don't see that. And it's unfortunate. I was just, I had a conversation earlier today with Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I was telling him I would love to see us get all of the Black intellectuals together and have a meeting of the minds. Like, we really need to sit down and we need to get to the table, because what I've noticed, like, back to the question you said about the Republican and the Democrat, regardless of outside of those parties, I may not agree with you on party affiliation, but I do agree that we all want what's best for Black America, but how we go about getting it may be different, right? Like, I want to save Black America, but people may say, oh, you can't save it by not aborting babies, right? Or Tamika Mallory might want to save Black America, and some people might think, oh, you can't save it by, defunding the police. But what she's doing and what she's advocating for and standing for is not wrong. It's not wrong to stand up for Black men that have been unjustly persecuted, right? I just may not agree that defunding the police is the way to resolve the issue, but I agree that it's wrong to kill Black men. Me on the issue of abortion. You may not agree with overturning abortion, but you agree with me that we should be helping Black women and children in need. We all want what's best collectively for our community, but we have to sit down. We have to have a meeting of the minds. We have to figure out what is the best way to go about getting it, because as long as we are fighting each other, we are always going to be divided, and every other class and group of people is going to continue to excel while we remain down at the bottom.
So there are many cries coming from the Black community about defunding the police force, right? But the question I have is, like, we need some form of policing in the community. So, like, has anyone spoken about a actual alternative if the police are defunded, that you would still have a force there with some form of accountability? Because when I hear police defunding, I hear basically eradicate police.
Well, that's another one of the reasons why I'm heavily supporting Robert F. Kennedy and Nicole Shanahan during this election cycle, because they actually do have real solutions in place to reform the police department, but while also protecting the community and its citizens, because those of us, that's from the hood, we know the police don't do right, but we also know, we got to call the police when Pookie and Ray Ray show up to rob grandmama. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't like we can just call the gang members and they gonna come and they gonna handle it. 9 times out of 10, they somewhere gang banging and don't have time. Yes, we do need to have police protection, but we also need to have real solutions to protecting our community while also preserving our community and having those relationships. So community policing is one of the things that should be at the top of the issue. First of all, why are we even hiring people to come inside of our communities and police them that have absolutely no relationship to the community? The first thing we need to do is start by making sure that the police officers that are policing those areas are from those areas, committed to those areas, have family living in those areas, and actually have some type of relationship, because with relationship comes respect.
Are there any other tactics that they shared in regards to their ideology of police reform?
Yes, of course, it's diverting some funding, not all of the funding, but they also want to put a system in place where police are on a graded scale and they're being held accountable. We need to be able to weed out the good cops from the bad cops, because we know, we see a lot of these issues, but reality is it ain't all officers, okay? And a lot of us have family members that are employed by law enforcement, whether it's the military, whether it's the police department, whether it's some type of form of security. So a lot of us have people that are active members of law enforcement. We don't want to see anything happen to them either. We love them as well. We know that it's a few bad apples in every bunch, but how do we weed out the good from the bad? In the police scoring system, having police officers have accountability, getting the community more involved with decision making when it comes to police in their community, right? We might not want the homeless man on the corner to go to jail because he broke in the store and stole some food. Feed him. How active are we involved when it comes to lawmaking?
There has to be initiative for people to have more of a livable wage, because by that alone, it kind of calm things down in certain areas,
Right. Well, the police and the teachers, right? Like, why are we not taking care of the people that are responsible for taking care of the community? But we got all of this funding to go to Ukraine, and we got all of this funding for abortion. You know what I was asking myself? I said, why would they not want to put defunding in pregnancy prevention? I said, because if we don't create the life, we don't have to end the life, right? But if these women don't get pregnant, then that means that there are no babies to abort. And whether we want to face this or acknowledge this or not, but nobody has ever walked out of an abortion clinic with the remains of the baby. The abortion clinic, they're not throwing them away in a dumpster, okay? That's a whole brand new baby. Those are brand new organs, stem cells. When they go to talking about all of these years, and I'm gonna end with this. We've heard this saying so many times, the fountain of youth. These people trying to find the fountain of youth where they can live forever and they can stay young forever. If I had to guess what the fountain of youth would be, I would probably say that it is the pure and untainted blood of a newborn baby. I would. And when it comes to organ harvesting and all of that stuff and medical apartheid, we know that there's systemic racism when it comes to this stuff. We know that there are years and years of history of them attacking us specifically. And we know, like, when it comes to melanin, and we go to research and, stuff on the black market. And when we go to talking about, like, the organ harvesting, what was that young man's name they found rolled up in the carpet down there? Ken Johnson? Valdosta, you know what I'm talking about. All of his organs gone and removed from his body. And then, they talk about us as black people, being the strongest, being the fastest, you know what I'm saying? Just having all of this. It just kind of makes you wonder why they want to continue to push abortion, fund abortion, and have 80% of abortion clinics in black communities.
When you're dealing with a politician, they receive a lot of criticism, but how much are their actions and speeches a reflection of them or a reflection of those around them, say their team?
Well, most of these politicians now are just a reflection of their party, because they can't speak out against it or they'll be voted out, right? Because it's all about money and special interests. And I think that's pretty much my answer to that. What we need to be looking for as people when it comes to someone genuine running that we think will really make a difference in our community, we need to just check their track record, right? Do you have a history of being active in these communities? Are you about that life? Are you just saying this to get my vote, or do you got receipts, right? Because some of us, like me and other activists I know, we've been in the community doing the work for 20 years. That's someone that can get my vote, regardless of their party affiliation. They got receipts, they've been doing the work. But we see these people jump into these positions, they come out of nowhere. What work have we seen Kamala Harris do? Incarcerate thousands of black men while she was the attorney general for California for marijuana, and then go on Breakfast Club and lie and say she never smoked. Is the interview over? Because I can't even discuss this no more. I am so sick and tired of us acting like we do not have the good common sense that we were born with.
I heard you once say, and I'm paraphrasing, the fight against racial injustice seems to be very loud, but the fight against injustice against our children is being ignored.
Yeah.
Could you clarify the context of that one, please?
I mean, children are not being protected. Like, we're not paying attention to what's going on in our schools. You can go to Google right now and see that Joe Biden and his administration were going to deny funding to public schools that refuse to teach LGBTQ gender ideology to elementary grade students. Like, in California, Gavin Newsom just passed a law that if you send Johnny 5 years old to school and he tell the teacher he want to be Jill, okay, then the teacher has that right to put him in a dress and call him Jill all day long while you at work. And then when he come back home, he back to acting like John again. Like, children are being used to push a sexual agenda. Anytime you see an administration talking about they're fighting for LGBTQ plus children, okay, what is that? Because when I think about those letters and I think about what they stand for, let's just start with the L, okay? A L, that's a lesbian. That's a woman that is sexually attracted to and likes to have sex with women, okay? B, that's bisexual. That is a person who is sexually attracted to and likes to have sex with both sexes. So when you say LGBTQ children, am I supposed to look at a 5-year-old child and say, oh, that child is bisexual? They like to have sex with male. They are using children as walking advertisements to push a sexual agenda. Anytime you see children at a pride parade with pride clothes on that say LGBTQ, anytime you see the director of Joe Biden's health department, Rachel, what's his name? Dr. Rachel, I can't remember the last name, but before it was Richard Levine, okay? Rachel Levine, this is the director of Joe Biden's administration when it comes to health. Formerly Richard Levine, has made it completely legal for children to be able to sexually transition without the permission of their parents. And if you buck and say, no, son, I said your name is John, then you can be deemed unfit and have your parental rights terminated. But we focus on who white and don't like us. Baby, the black girl across the street don't like you. Your black cousin from you ain't talked to in 10 years don't like you. Some of your black daddies don't like you.
The law you spoke about previously, is that nationwide or is that specific?
It's just in California, but once they pass it there, it's going to begin to spread. And it's in many other places as well that they're not necessarily talking about it. And it's a Democrat agenda. Like if you go back and even you look at the Olympics that we just witnessed, the Olympics that just took place in Paris, you got a child that they're saying is a drag queen on the show. You can look and zoom into the picture. The man got his whole nuts and testicles out. They got this little boy dressed up as a woman. I'm a grown woman. If I put on some red lipsticks and some high heels and go see my man, baby, I'm looking for that action. I want him to see me. Why are we dressing little boys up in high heels and dresses and putting them on a stage and having them perform in sexually explicit manners and calling it gender inclusion and diversity?
Well, why are parents supporting this? Like, why are parents supporting their children?
I mean, Ain't that what DFAC's for? Why is the government allowing it? All parents aren't, good parents. That's why we have systems in place that protect children when they don't have good parents. You're gonna tell Boosie he can't take his son to Magic City to see a real woman get naked because his son not 21. But if Boosie want to take his son to see a man with fake titties and a string up their ass, dancing around sexually or provocative, it's legal? And he can do it?
So what do you think is going to be the future of this country with the thing that's going on?
I hope I don't be here. My plans are to pack my shit up and go, baby. I don't know if it's Bali, if it's Africa. I don't know what y'all gonna do. I'm at the point now, baby, black people, we are done. Like, I've never seen the Wade Plies and Isaac Hayes and D.L. Hewley and these Negroes and Roland Martin is carrying on for this black woman who got a black king that she lay down to and pillow talk to every single night. I just don't know what's gonna happen. Kamala Harris is more of a progressive than Joe Biden. I think we're in trouble. I think that if she's elected, not only are we getting ready to abort an entire generation, but we're getting ready to lose an entire generation to men that no longer feel the need to be men, but want to be women and don't have a desire to be with women.
I don't know, man. We have a real men's crisis because not only the men who don't want to be women, but you have men that seem to just give up, fire. They just gave up on life. They just there. There's a large portion of men that just.
I mean, look at what's happening. I mean, these days, like, it seems like the only way you could get up, put on, or get any type of attention is if you a man that's taking it up the butt or you putting a wig on. Like, I mean, let's look at what they're uplifting and they're idolizing. Billy Porter over the DNC and wearing a dress on Sesame Street, teaching children about sexual identities. At the White House, you got Billy Porter on the front aisle in a dress, bending over, kissing Joe Biden's hands. Like, we are not uplifting masculine, heterosexual black men. This whole agenda right now is about feminizing the black man. If a man is effeminate, he gets more respect, more power, more leverage than the man that's straight this day in America. And that's sad. But when you don't have the black man, you don't have black life. So all of these women and all of these black men that's going along with this agenda that doesn't uplift, that doesn't support, that doesn't inspire the black man, right? You're all contributing to your own genocide. Because me as a woman, right, I have a womb. I can go sleep with 5 men, an Asian, a Mexican, a white man, an Italian, a black man. The only way I'm gonna give birth to black life is if I'm with that black man. Black life lies in the scrotum of black men. So if you are supporting an agenda that turns a black man into a woman, or if you are supporting an agenda that kills black life before his feet even touch the ground, you're against your own people.
Well, Angela, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure with you here, dropping information, dropping bombs, And I do wish you the best in everything you do. And there's one more question I didn't ask you about your work.
Auntie Angie's house?
Yeah. I heard you're moving.
We are. We finally got us a new location. We have a 4-unit complex down in Albany, Georgia, where Auntie Angie's house is now going to be Auntie Angie's Village. So we're still asking for tons of support. There are a lot of women that want to keep their children, but feel as though that they're in a situation that they just can't afford to do so. And the driving cause of abortion right now is the economy, economic status, and every abortion is a tragedy. And I just don't believe that black woman should feel like that she has to abort her children because she's in a position that she can't afford it at that time. Because, I think a lot of us, we're born into poor situations. There's not a lot of black people that were just born with a silver spoon in your mouth. And I think that we made the best of our situations. And I know a lot of us that came up, came out, and overcame those situations. And I just don't think that poverty should be the leading factor determining black life. So Auntie Angie's house is about providing those resources to women that decide that they're going to put their big girl panties on. They aren't going to take the easy route out. They're going to have their children. And if we, as taxpayers, are being forced to fund abortion, then we should also fund life. Because when I talk to people and I ask them, I say, hey, who do you want your tax dollars to go to? You wanted to go to the woman that aborted because she didn't want the responsibility anyway. She doesn't even have the responsibility. Or do you want it to go to the mother that kept her baby and that's struggling but believes in the value of life for that child? And all of them say, you know what, if you put it like that, I have to look at it differently. And then here's the last part of this when it comes to abortion. Like, look, all of this Republican, Democrat, you didn't call me when you were making the baby, right? That was your 5 minutes of pleasure. You didn't call me when you busted nut or whatever. Don't call me to kill the baby. That's your responsibility, okay? That's not mine, okay? That is your responsibility. Tax dollars should not be going to terminating Black life with 80% of abortion clinics in Black communities. Tax dollars should go to funding Black life.